Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Sharon and this is a channel that is dedicated to all things related to narcissism. I release new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on all types of topics related to narcissism. So if you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. I would really appreciate it if you gave the video a thumbs up. It's a free way you can help me out. And definitely don't forget to leave a comment because I like to read what you have to say. So over the past week or so, Joe and I have been dealing with we have a lot on our plate. We're both been confronted by our worst fears, literally outside of something happening to our children or each other. Our worst fears are very present in our life. It's like they showed up right at the door and we're looking terror right in the eye. I'm going to talk about that in today's video. What is fear? What is anxiety? I'll tell you what's going on with Joe and I, but most importantly, I'm going to tell you how we plan to get away from this horrible situation, how we plan to deal with what's happening. Let's talk a little bit about fear though. What is fear? There's an acronym for fear, false evidence appearing real. And the definition of fear is an unpleasant feeling triggered by the perception of danger, real or imagined. So in both of those definitions, you know what I noticed? It doesn't have to be true for it to be real to you. So you can be afraid of things. I guess we all know this, right? Kids are afraid of the dark or afraid of someone in their closet, whatever it is. You can really feel terror and fear. You know, I remember one time when I was babysitting with my cousin, we were young, we were teenagers, and we were babysitting at this house, and the people at the house, there were kind of woods behind them. We were convinced that somebody was in the woods. We were so afraid. I mean, it's when I think of it now, what losers we were. But we were so afraid. We're looking out the window. We're cuddled up together on the couch. Fear had overtaken us for some reason. We felt oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Fear was incapacitating us. And that's something that fear can do. So whether it's true or not doesn't really matter because you feel it as if it's true, even if it isn't. So when you're feeling incredible fear, that is it's like a weight on you, a physical weight. You can feel it. You know, I can feel fear in my stomach or in my chest. It's just there. It's like a weight. You know what I mean? It's just this heavy weight there. It's like I have a lead ball in my stomach. And you can also, it almost stoops you over. There is a weight to fear. You know, you can feel it. I feel right now, because I have so much fear, anxiety comes right along with that. Anxiety is just part of my bloodstream now. There it is. It's just going all through my bloodstream, and it's not driving. It's traveling miles a day all over the place. Anxiety. You know, you can feel it. My heart, ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. Same with Joe. I put my head on his chest the other day. His heart, he was laying down, and his heart was going incredibly fast. That was all fear. So let's talk a little bit about what you can do if you have fear in your life. Joe and I have both been confronted by our fears, and I'm going to tell you what they are, but most importantly, I'm going to tell you how you can handle fear. I'm going to tell you how Joe and I are going to handle fear. You know, part of the reason when we do the Sharon and Joe show, and actually I'm so sorry that Joe's not here today. He made a video with me, but I wasn't in love with it, so I'm doing another one today. So he will hopefully be here next week. But part of the reason that we do videos together is because we have two different viewpoints. You know, I'm female, he's male. You know, also Joe deals with issues a lot differently than I do. I was gonna say between the two of us, but it doesn't really matter. Just in general, I'm a positive person. Joe, in general, his set point is negative. So we have that difference. So what we're doing to deal with our stress and anxiety is a little bit different. So I'm hoping that if anybody's dealing with this, they'll fall somewhere in between. So let me tell you what's going on with Joe. I'll tell you what's going on with me, and then I'll tell you about the solution. So Joe was born with a birth defect. I don't know if anyone knows this. I didn't hear this before Joe. It's called microtia, which I believe is Latin for little ear or small ear. It is when a child is born with usually one, but it can be both, ears that aren't fully formed. So when Joe was born, he had one ear that wasn't fully formed, and he went through multiple surgeries as a child. It's more than 12. It was 13, 14. It was a lot of surgeries. You know, if you have a child and you go to the hospital now, it's very different than when Joe or I went to the hospital, you know, in the 80s. I took my son to Boston Children's Hospital a couple of times. when you go in there, it's incredible. I wouldn't know I was in a hospital if I didn't know. I would have, if I had to guess, I would think I was at a mall probably. There's like a water feature. It's beautiful. There's little gift shops, little coffee shops. It's the cutest little place. Like you want to just go and hang out there. You would never know you're at a hospital. They cater to kids now. They don't want them to be afraid. Everything's colorful and bright, and nurses will wear cartoon character scrubs. That really helps kids. It benefits kids. My son wasn't afraid of the hospital. Joe was. When we were younger, it wasn't like that. It just wasn't. Hospitals were a place of business. You went, you had stuff done. It didn't matter if you were 2 years old or if you were 72 years old, you were going to get the exact same treatment. It's a place of business. We got to get stuff done, and that's what it is. Nowadays, if you have a child that has surgery, you can stay at the hospital with your child. That wasn't how it was when Joe and I were younger. You weren't, maybe you could sometimes, but not in the majority of cases. That's a newer thing. Today, kids who are born with microtia, they can get this fixed before they even go to preschool. It's around preschool age, 3 to 5, they can get this fixed. They don't have to live the way that Joe did. He went through so many surgeries. It wasn't until 2014 that he actually had what looks like a real ear. He told me that after going through all these surgeries, he never wanted to do it again. But he worked his way up to being able to get the strength, the courage to have the surgery that he needed to have the ear he wanted. So he did that in 2014, and it came out fantastic. It was just fantastic. You wouldn't even know. I wouldn't have known. I know because he told me, and if I look closely, I can see it, but you don't know. You'd never know if you saw him. However, and he was going to say he thought it was all over. But very, very unfortunately, he's been getting infections in that ear, and it's been going on for an entire year. It's just one thing after the other, and now it's like bleeding. It's bleeding from the back, from the front. It's horrible. He went to a doctor this month. So he went to multiple doctors who were giving him, penicillin. Not antibiotics. Maybe it was penicillin. I'm not sure. But he was getting antibiotics. It wasn't helping at all. So finally, he saw a doctor recently who told him that it's so infected, he thinks he's going to have it amputated. So for Joe, I was at the doctor's appointment with him. I was sitting in the waiting room. I had his phone and his wallet and stuff, and I was just sitting there. I didn't even see him coming out. All of a sudden, there's this guy next to me, Joe, and he's just grabbing his stuff and walking. He just left. I was like, are you kidding me? What the hell? So I'm following him, and obviously, because apparently I'm queen of the obvious, I knew something was drastically wrong. So I'm just following him, and I was trying to be respectful because, Joe and I have different ways of dealing with stress. So if I get bad news or I'm afraid, I want comfort. I want somebody to touch me, to talk to me, to tell me it's going to be all right. That's what I need. I need physical contact with somebody. Joe likes to have his own space and be away. He likes to go off on his own, and he'll come back when he's ready. That wasn't easy to do since we were in the same car driving to the same house. But I just sat there quiet, didn't say anything. And all of a sudden, he just started talking, and he's like, told me what was happening, what might happen. And then, he told me, he immediately goes to this terrible place, right? He's going to have his ear amputated, and he's going to have a hole in the side of his head. He is never going to be able to get it fixed. Nothing's going to be there. It's just now his life is over. He thought in 2014 he could live a new life. He had told me after he had the surgery, he had gone on to really change himself. He's like, I wouldn't even have been able to be with you if I hadn't had that done. He's saying that he became more outgoing. His personality changed. He felt good about himself for the first time, and it was incredible. But now he automatically goes to, he had something fantastic, then he goes to the worst possible case that there could be. And in fact, he even said to me, we're in the car, he's like, listen, I don't know if we can be together anymore. I don't know, because I'm going to be a hermit now. I can't, you don't want to live with a hermit, do you? It's like, I'm going to be a hermit. That's where he went from that. He went from feeling good to having the ear amputated to his life is over. That's fear. That's incapacitating fear. That's believing the worst case scenario when there's no evidence for it. Remember, fear, false evidence appearing real. If you think it's real to you, and that's all that matters. So my situation right now, actually, let me just go back to Joe. So he's dealing with that. We're trying to see another doctor, and we're trying to see about getting a surgery for him. It's a little more complicated because he recently was laid off, so he doesn't have great insurance. His insurance is only for the state that we live in. He had the surgery in California, which we don't live in. So it's going to be an expense. But the likelihood is that he'll be able to have it fixed. But he has it as, nope, I'm not going to get it fixed. I'm going to literally be a freak for the rest of my life. I'm just going to live my life out, accept that everybody's going to laugh at me, and that's what I'm going to do. That's where fear took him. Now, for me, my fear, I kind of feel weird saying this because compared to a health issue like this, my fear is not this bad, but to me it is. And that's the thing with fear. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It's that it's real to you, and you're making decisions and you're living your life based on what's real to you. So for me, my worst fear, like I said, outside of something happening to my family, is losing my house, which I already lost, by the way. That was one of the things I did lose. I lost my house, but technically it's still there and I still own it. I just don't live in it. And I held on to this house for a long time. I was separated from my ex. I've been separated from him for 3 years now. And the first 2 years we were separated. I lived in the house by myself. It wasn't until the kids and I left a year ago, December, that he moved back into the house. It was just the three of us living there. It was such a hassle, you guys. It took everything in me to pay the bills every single month. Everything. The mortgage by itself was $3,187.50. That wiped out almost everything I had every month. I still had to buy food for my kids. I still had to pay for heat. In fact, what I ended up doing is I bought my kids electric blankets last year because I couldn't put the heat on at night. We put the heat on a few hours a day. If it was absolutely freezing, our teeth were chattering, or I was afraid that the pipes were going to burst, we put the heat on. But that was it. And it's still, even with that, it cost me $750 a month for propane. Propane is outrageous. So typically when I was putting the heat on when I wanted to, it was $1,000 a month. So I cut it down about 25% by not using the heat. Of course, propane was on the stove, like heating the water, like all this type of stuff. So we still used it, but the heat itself to warm the house, no, that was only solely a couple hours during the day. It was horrible. But I wanted that house. I was waiting for a miracle. I wanted a miracle. This is going through my mind. Well, geez, my ex isn't very healthy. He's overweight, he's this, he's that, he's an alcoholic. Maybe he'll die. I mean, that was my hope. I didn't have any hope in myself. I wasn't thinking, well, gee, Sharon, like you're a capable person. Why don't you take care of it? But instead it was just, he has to die. That's what has to happen. Otherwise, my dreams don't come true. That's the way I was thinking. Not purposely, but that was where fear took me. Fear, it's never going to be over. I'm going to lose my house. And I did lose my house. Ironically though, when I think about fear, fear can be a good or bad thing. In my case, fear worked for me and it worked against me. It worked against me when I didn't think I could take care of anything on my own, that I wasn't a capable person. I was terrified. I was staying with somebody who was abusing me. And when I think about that in terms of my own child, my own daughter, what would I think if she told me that her husband was abusing her and she was staying in the house because she was too afraid to leave? I mean, that's a pretty common thing, but imagine like it's your child. You're not reading this in an article. Me, you don't really know me. I'm telling you this. It's my own child. I would be devastated. But there'd be a part of me that would be like, even though I did the same thing, but there'd be a part of me that would think, what the heck's wrong with her? Why would she do that? That's crazy. But that's what I was doing. I mean, that was what it was. I didn't think I could do anything on my own. At the end, last year, a few months before we left, my ex got worse and worse. I was terrified that he was going to hurt us. I used to sleep with a loaded gun next to the bed every single night. I never left my house without locking the door. Every night I had chickens in the backyard. I had to walk to their coop. There was 40 acres of woods behind me. I was armed doing that. It was absolutely horrible. I'll tell you, this is like a little thing that happened to me one time. I was in the chicken coop. I was doing something in there, so literally inside the coop. One of the chickens jumped on my back. I didn't think it was a chicken. I thought my ex had attacked me, because all of a sudden something was on my back. Now, obviously the weight, right? But I felt something jumped on my back. She was up on a roost and she literally jumped down, and she was only a couple pounds, but she landed on my back. I thought it was my ex. I screamed bloody murder. Terror raced through my veins. I thought it was him for a few seconds, and right now while I'm telling you that story, I can still feel the way that I felt. Terror is an incapacitating feeling, and it's horrible. At the end, when I thought my ex was so dangerous that he might harm us, that fear, because I had children, got me out. I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have kids. Would I try to stay there? Would I have like stayed with somebody that I didn't even love? I don't know. I don't know. But the fear of what might happen to my children got me out, and I left my house. Haven't lived there for a year. I live with Joe in a different state. I knew I left the house. There wasn't a part of me that thought, well, maybe I'll get it back. I know I'm not going to. And my ex is supposed, he lives in the house right now. He was supposed to put the house on the market in July. That was the plan. We had mediation. He was supposed to sign papers in June. And then by July 15th, the house was supposed to be on the market. Then it was July 30th, August 15th, August 30th. It kept going on and on. Then it was just, there was no date. It was just, I guess this will eventually happen. If he had put the house for sale in July, I think I might have been okay with it. It's just like right now, I think, I don't know, the stars have aligned in a way that I'm horrified by this. Losing my house has been indescribably difficult. It's been such a hassle. It's been terrible. It is my nightmare, and the kids are like, oh, if you can go back to New Hampshire. I don't want to go buy that house. Like, I don't want to be in that town because I'm so upset and so terrified of losing that house. It's wiped me out emotionally. It's been so painful. So I think I would have been okay in July though. Now I'm not. And a lot of it has to do with something the real estate agent said. So my ex finally got a hold of a real estate agent. So this real estate agent calls me and he was talking to me about the house, and he said, what did he say? Oh yeah, he asked me when the last time I saw the house was. I was like, well, it's been about a year. I haven't been in it, driven by it, nothing at all. And he was like, okay, I just want to tell you that the house is in rough shape. And so-and-so, my ex's name, so-and-so refuses to do any work. He won't pick it up. He won't paint. He won't do anything. Things that could really go to your advantage, he won't do. He also told me that if the house was put up for sale in July, it probably would have sold in a weekend for $250,000 more than they're listing it at now. Guys, that's my house. It's like my baby. What are you doing to my house? Like, what has he done? I don't know. Like, I don't even know. Did he like destroy it somehow, or the walls like compromised? I don't know. I have no idea. I didn't ask him. I didn't want to know. I told him I don't want to see any pictures, nothing. So he told me he was going to email me some forms that I had to sign in order to put the house on the market. I have to sign them and get them back to him. I got the papers on Thursday. I was at work. All right. And I was checking my phone. I was checking my email. There they are. There I see this guy's name. And then I see the subject was the address of the house. Just seeing that, my house. Oh my God. The terror. It was so bad. That's my baby. I picked out that house. That's where my dog recently passed away. He was living there with me there. That's his home too. My animals that are buried in the backyard are there, and I'm not. And I get it. Like, if some of you are like, oh, geez, woman, grow up. I get it. It's all right. I understand. Not offended by you saying that. It's my fear. You have your own fears. Joe has his own fears. And I'm going to talk about how to get past these fears. But they're very real to us. So I haven't signed the paperwork. I didn't even open it up. I couldn't even tell Joe about it until Friday because I'm at work. I opened up this email. Well, I didn't open the email, but I just looked at my email. I didn't open it up. And I was right away, I could feel tears spring to my eyes. Like, the emotion was overwhelming. It was like waves of sorrow washing over me. I literally had to run to the bathroom because I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to cry at work. Oh, that's horrible. I can't let people see me like this. So I'm in the bathroom trying to calm myself down. And thank God, literally, I was able to calm down and finish my day, because there was a time I was thinking, I'm literally going to have to tell them that I'm sick and have to leave because I can't function through the day. But I did get through, thank God. But I never looked at the email. I told Joe about it on Friday, and he told me that he could help me. He was like, you know what, Sharon? I was like, listen, let me do this for you. He's like, I know what this does for you. I know what this does to you. Because he just forwarded me the emails. I'll take care of it. I'll read them. I'll tell you where to sign. You don't have to do anything. Like, literally, your role in this is forwarding me the emails. I'm probably going to have Joe do that. And that did make me feel better. But I still haven't opened the email. Today's Monday. I have a feeling that today I'm going to start hearing from people, my attorney or maybe the real estate agent, asking where those papers are. But I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do with those papers as part of my solution. So there are other problems that we have, right? Joe has his medical issue, I have the house issue, and I'm very upset about it, and so is he. But with all that said, something that I've learned about fear and anxiety is that you must attack it head on. You have to fight back. If you don't, it's so powerful that it can take you out. It can cause you to make decisions that are horrible for you, that hurt your children. I mean, it's just the unending scenario of nightmares that can happen when you are filled with terror are very real. Just for anybody who might be thinking to themselves, yeah, well, you have Joe. Oh, Joe's going to do all that for you. He's going to, sign the paperwork, but he's going to do that. He's going to read it all and tell you where to sign. Oh, well, that must be nice for you, but I'm all alone. I want to tell you something. I get that. I understand you saying that, and it is true now, but it wasn't always. I didn't start dating Joe until I was separated from my ex for closing in on 2 years. I had the worst experience of my life during those 2 years, and I was completely alone. But I'm going to do with this situation exactly what I did then, and it worked. So if you are feeling fear, anxiety, stress, this worked for me. And I actually just had a conversation with my daughter before I started filming this. I'll tell you about that afterwards, because she was feeling fear as well. So I guess everyone in the house is feeling fear except my son. So I guess that's good. Or maybe he is, I don't know. But it's not a good time right now at the house. But so this is what I did, and this helped me. I confronted fear straight on. I'm going to tell you, I know not everybody believes in this, but God was instrumental in that as well. So if you have a faith, please lean on it now. If you read the Bible, there's verses, right? Like, God doesn't give us a spirit of fear. If God doesn't give you a spirit of fear, you know who did. There's also, my son does memory verses. I homeschool him. He had a memory verse, and it's random. I didn't pick it out. It was in the book, but I was reading it with him last week for his memory verse last week, and it said, it was from the Bible. I can't remember exactly where it was in the Bible, but it says anything like in your life, think of good things. Think of things that are good, and think of things that are, helpful and positive, all beautiful. Those are the things to focus on. Focus on the positive is essentially what the Bible quote said. And I felt like when I saw that, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is for me and for Joe. So, I told Joe right away. He works from home. So I'm like, Joe, so I told him that. And I think it was true. It was something we needed to hear. And I'm telling you this too. If you focus on the bad things, and it's so easy to do, especially when you're fearful, because it really is incapacitating. If you aren't able to think anything positive, it is really, truly going to hurt you. If you only focus on fear and thinking to yourself, well, I'll do that after I feel better, it doesn't work that way. The first month my ex and I were split up was really bad. It was one of the worst times of my life. I had gotten in such a blowout with my ex that the police came over, and my ex accused me of beating him up. He accused me of, literally, if you saw my ex and you saw me, that I threw him into a wall. Now it's kind of a running joke in the family. We always say that, like, oh, Sharon's going to throw you into the wall, but at the time it wasn't very funny because it triggered a Child Protective Services investigation. So my ex is losing it, right? He's telling the police that I beat him up when I did not. I have Child Protective Services on me. I find out that my ex paid no bills. The mortgage was overdue. Every single thing was overdue. I wasn't working. I was a stay-at-home mom. All of this was happening. It was Christmas. It was almost Christmas. I believed that I might have a heart attack. I believed this. I was laying in my bed at night afraid to sleep because what happens if I have a heart attack? What am I going to do? So I'm trying to tell my kids, I was trying to tell them in an easy way, like, oh, hey guys, just so you know, if anything happened to me, if I was hurt, you could call so-and-so and so-and-so. That was me telling my kids that because I thought I might die in my sleep. I was afraid to sleep. I thought I wouldn't wake up. This had gone on for about 2 weeks. And this is what ended it for me. This is what changed my life. I thought to myself, hell no. I'm not living this way. I'm not letting my kids live this way. It's never going to happen. I'm not going to let my kids grow up in a house where their mother is a basket case. My ex wasn't there. He wasn't a father even when he lived at the house. I am my child's only parent. So I love my kids. There's no way I'm letting them grow up this way where I'm always miserable. There's always a problem. They never have enough. They compare themselves to other people's families because their families are happier. Their families do things. I couldn't let that happen. I changed right then. I did it afraid. I decided I'm telling you, this worked. This worked for me. If you think about your life, all right, you think about who you want to be. What type of person do you want to be? Do it. Be that person before you're that person, if that makes sense. Like I thought to myself, I want to be a happy mother. I want to be somebody that brings joy to my family. I want to laugh with my family. I want to do things with my family. That's what I wanted to do. So I started doing things. I had to accept I was in a bad state financially. I took some of my kids' college money and I used it to pay the mortgage. I had some money set aside. Because for the last couple of years, my ex was there was some money issues. So I had like a little secret stash. Thank God I used that. I had to do that. I accepted that I had to do that. And then I decided, I have to do that because I'm going to die if I don't. We're going to be homeless. That was what it was. Either we're getting kicked out of the house, I'm going to die, or I take this money and do that. That was how it was. Just a reality. And then I decided, okay, who am I? I want to be a happy person. I want to be a bubbly person. I want to be somebody that my kids like being around. I want to be somebody when my kids are older, they want to come visit me. I want to be a grandma. That's what I wanted to do. So I thought, what would that person do? What would she do? And I realized I needed to do stuff with the kids. So I remember one night we went to Applebee's. The last thing I wanted to do was go to Applebee's and spend like $50. But my kids needed that. So we went to Applebee's and we had a good time. We were playing trivia there. Some of you may not know, but my kids and I are really good at Applebee's trivia. But we did that. We started taking walks. We played board games. And then COVID hit, right? So we had loads of time together. We did day trips. And we laughed. And most nights we piled in my bed, me, the kids, the dogs, and we would watch movies. That was what we did. And the kids changed. I changed. Now that's who I am. But I didn't used to be that way. It's almost like if you quit smoking, right? I used to smoke a long, long time ago. I quit when I found out I was pregnant with my daughter. When I was pregnant with my daughter, it literally was, I went to, no, I didn't know. I was smoking, and then the day I found out, I smoked for another day after that. I didn't know I was pregnant 2 weeks prior to that. As soon as I knew I was pregnant and I lit up a cigarette, I was like, what am I doing? And I tossed it out the window. I never smoked another cigarette. I still haven't smoked another cigarette, and my daughter's 19 years old. It was easy to do when there was a reason to do it. So these things that seem impossible to do can be done when you have a reason to do it. And if you don't have kids or if you're by yourself, you also are a reason to do that. You deserve a life. You don't deserve to have somebody beat you down all the time and you're feeling sick and miserable all the time. You're married to somebody that's supposed to be your best friend, the person who looks out for you, and instead they're the one bringing all the tragedy on you. Oh no, that's not acceptable. Who do you want to be? You have that power inside of you. You do not have the power to change a narcissist. You just don't. I'm sure all of us have tried to do it at one point. I definitely did. But I can't change a narcissist. I can't change anybody. I couldn't change Joe if I wanted to. But you can change yourself. You have all the power for the person that you're going to be. All of it. It's all up to you. And I know, this is part of the reason I do the channel. I tell you things that I did so I know that they're true. This isn't just, I heard, if you do this really worked for me. I used to be afraid of my own shadow. I was so abused by my narcissistic ex that I was just a shell of who I am now. I changed after I left him because then I was living for me. I was living for my kids, and that made all the difference. So even when I was afraid, I kept doing it. That was like my motto. Do it afraid. Do it afraid. Do it afraid. I had to tell myself repeatedly, but I did it and I got through. And I'm going to do the exact same thing now. I was unexpectedly traumatized by that real estate agent. I didn't expect it. I didn't expect to feel this way, but I do. And I didn't open the email. I didn't open it. I still haven't opened it. What I'm doing right now, I'm putting myself first, right? Like not in a rude, selfish way. I mean, I need to handle this. This hit me unexpectedly. And initially, I turned away from it. I was putting my fingers in my ears, la, 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 la. I didn't want to see it. I know that I have to do that. So, and I have to think, okay, this is good. My kids need this money. I want to take my kids on a vacation. They haven't been for years. They've been through so much hell. These are things I want to do, and I can't not selling that house. And also, I can't buy my ex out. So I did lose that house. I can't have it. I cannot. Whatever he did to it, it's a house. Thank God I got the kids and animals out. I mean, it could have been us that were destroyed. I don't know. It was horrible. So I'm going to give myself a little time today. I'm going to pray. I'm going to get myself in position, and maybe tomorrow, I'm going to do it in the next day or two. I'll give the email to Joe, and then he can read it. Tell me what I need to know from it, and I'm going to move on from there. But I'm giving myself this time. I do recognize that more than likely I'm going to be getting a phone call from either my attorney or the real estate agent wondering where these forms are that I haven't even opened the email. But you know what? I don't care. This whole thing with the whole divorce, my ex was supposed to sign papers in June. And he never did. He was supposed to have the house on the market in July. He never did. He didn't care. It didn't matter. Real estate agent, I lost over $100,000 because of my ex not doing that. Nobody said anything to him. Nobody encouraged him, politely to sign everything. No one. He still hasn't signed it, literally. Now it's December, and I've lost over $100,000. This is a reality with narcissists. They will hurt themselves to hurt you, right? That's the truth. My ex doesn't care. I'm sure the real estate agent told him the same thing. He doesn't care. Whatever. It hurts me. That's good. He has a 6-figure job to go back to. He doesn't have any kids. I have the kids. I raise the kids alone. He doesn't help me out raise these kids. He gives me the minimum child support he has to, which is not that much money. And I don't, he's not taking care of the kids. My daughter is going to college. He won't even buy a textbook. I'm the one with all this. And on top of it, he gets to have, he used to claim our minor child for taxes next year because he's paying that minimal child support. It's disgusting. It is so disgusting. So I don't care. I don't care. That's it. Fine. I'll be a couple of days late. You can call me. You can email me, whatever. But I'm not going to open the email anyways. I'm not going to answer the phone. So whatever. I'm going to deal with this with God. I'm going to deal with this with Joe. I'm going to get to a good place, take a deep breath, and do what I have to do because I can't keep the house. Joe's a little bit different than I am. I'm positive. He's not positive. He kind of looks at things like, like I told you, his whole ear is going to come off and that's the way it's going to be. And it's never going to be fixed. There's no chance of anything else. That's how he is. So Joe and I had a little talk a little while ago. We prayed together in the morning and we talked about, okay, what are we going to do today? What's the plan for today? So, I said to him, let's not, because for Joe, so for me, it helps me to stay positive. It helps me to focus on the person I want to be being that person. For Joe, it helps him to feel that he's doing something he needs to do every day, that he's productive today, that he's working towards something, So over the weekend, we had made an appointment for him to go see another doctor tomorrow. So he has an appointment tomorrow, so he did that. There's a second doctor we want to look into. We couldn't do an online appointment, so we're going to call this person today. We're going to deal with the doctor today, right? Then after we do everything that we can with that, we'll go, he has a doctor's appointment tomorrow. We're going to take it from there. So one day at a time. He's working today. Joe was laid off, but he works. He still works. He does work at home, but it's kind of, I don't know how to say it. He's not working at his regular job, but he's working from home. So he's working from home, and so he's home, so that's good. So we're able to touch base during the day. I'm not working today, so we're both home all day, and I can touch base with him during the day. So his goal today is to get through the day, just get through the day, have as good an attitude as he can, do a good job at work, look into that one doctor. It's baby steps is what it is, but that works for him. He doesn't even have to think, this is definitely going to work out. If this isn't going to work out, it's not that. It's what can I do? So he's not trying to think of who can I be? What type of person should I be? It's, all right, I get stressed out. I get really, really depressed. I get anxiety, out the wazoo. What am I going to do? That's what he's going to do. Just today. Today's Monday. He's going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. That's all he needs to do today. If he does all those 5 things, fantastic. Me, it's a little bit different. I need to get myself in a position, right? Today, I get to get myself in a good position. I have some things I need to do. I'm going to pray to God, and I'm going to think about what I'm going to do with that money. What am I going to do? How is this going to benefit my children? How is this going to benefit me? What is this going to enable me to do that I can't do now? Then I'll feel better. And if I keep pushing myself, I'll feel better. And I'll get to the point where I have to just take a deep breath and sign any papers and then just, that's the way it is. I mean, it's horrible. It stinks. Losing your house, I mean, it sucks. It just does. There's so much damage that we have all lost. All of us. It's not just me. It's not just Joe. It's you guys too. We've lost so much, but it's up to us to put a stop to it. Like, it just is. We have the power to do that. A little while ago, and I'll end with this. My daughter is starting college in January, and I'm so excited for her. And this morning, and it was happening while I was making the video, she was talking to a counselor to help her prepare for her classes and all that, and she was so nervous. Oh, I don't know what, you guys know Paris. She's like, I don't know, I'm so nervous, I'm not good on the phone. What should I do? I'm going to forget to ask her something, or what happens if I sound stupid? And so we had a talk, and it was the same thing that I'm telling you guys. I told her, well, why don't you think about, look at this person, right? The person that's calling you, this is their job. You need information. She has information. So she's not going to think you're stupid, and you're going to sound fine on the phone. You're a pleasant, nice person. I was like, so we wrote down a list of questions for her to ask her so that she wouldn't forget. And then I told her, let's say a little prayer. So we said a prayer, and she was in a good place. She reminded herself that, of course she can do this. Of course. All right, well, here are the questions. I'm going to write them down just in case. And, I'm going to be talking to her in a few minutes. So I know this is kind of a long video, but oh, geez, you guys, fear, anxiety, that's the type of thing that can destroy your life. I mean, that's what kept us in bad situations for so long. Some of you, it's what's keeping you in your situation right now. But you have all the power. You really do. Even if you don't think you do, you do. You can change yourself. You can have whatever life you want, but you need to be able to step out and go claim it. Thank you so much, you guys. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll be back on Wednesday, and I will tell you what happened at Joe's doctor's appointment, my daughter with her college counselor, and me with the house. All right, guys, I will talk to you pretty soon. Have a good day. Bye.